The Colorado Buffaloes continue to make waves in college football with tick demand soaring, high-profile guests in attendance, and now the number 18 ranking in the AP Top 25. Coach Prime Sanders, his son Shedeur, Travis Hunter, leading the way. How far can this Buffalo team go? That is the question I levy to you first, Kyle Ledbetter.
I have no idea. That's a bit of a cop-out answer. I have no idea what this thing is going to look like for Colorado, because Colorado was expected this year to win 2 or 3 games. I know one sportsbook took 0.5 as the over-under win total for Colorado this year, which is funny and also a bit disrespectful in hindsight, because Colorado does have a couple very, very, very good college football players. So Colorado is better than what most people were expecting them to be at the start of the year. They're going to beat Colorado State this weekend. They'll be 3-0 at that point. They'll be one of the 15 highest ranked teams in the country. And we will also have no idea how good or bad Colorado actually is in the grand scheme of things, because one, it's September in college football. Evaluating teams like 7 through 30 in September in college football is absolutely impossible. Like, you know who the 5 really good teams are by September, but you don't know how the rest of the field is going to pan out. College football is just wild and wacky, and there's a lot of parity in that like 3rd and 4th tier group of teams. And the other part of it is the opponents that Colorado plays are 2 of the most fugazi in the country right now. Like, TCU is probably not going to be as good as most people expected them to be, with 3 starters on defense returning from last season and a Bryles as their offensive coordinator instead of Garrett Riley, who's now at Clemson, which in fairness, TCU has outscored Clemson this year, but that's besides the point. TCU is probably not the team that people thought they were going to be at the start of the year. They were probably overranked at 17 in the country to start the year. And oh, by the way, they still had a chance to beat Colorado on the last drive of the game after everything that happened. And then Nebraska, which, how many minutes and hours do you have on this to talk about everything that's happened to Nebraska in the last 15 years? Because Nebraska is like all of the worst Chargers games combined into one. That's basically like rooting for Nebraska football is like that. And this is the first year under a new regime that clearly is going to take some time for them to rebuild this thing out. So because the teams Colorado played and because of the randomness of college football, I don't know how good Colorado is going to be. In 2 weeks, they travel to Oregon, and I assume they're going to get smoked in that game, but I don't know.
Quick note on Nebraska. I know when it comes to Matt Rule, he did start off slow at Temple. He started off slow at Baylor, but eventually those programs turned the corner. As far as going back to Colorado, though, come on, Kyle. Why do you got to keep disrespecting Coach Sanders like that? Why you got to be one of those media shills who just keeps coming after Coach Sanders? Come on.
If it were up to me, we would not be talking about Colorado. But here's the thing. Bloggers and college football writers are getting their yearly bonuses based on Colorado right now, because Colorado is the team that your friend who doesn't like football, who knows you like football, asks you about Colorado. That's the territory that they inhibit right now. They are the people's team of sort. Colorado is the team that is gauging interest in college football, that is supposed to change the game in college football. And there's only one reason that's the case. As much as Travis Hunter is awesome, the only reason that's the case is because Deion Sanders is their head coach, and Deion Sanders has spent decades being incredible at selling Deion Sanders.
It's safe to say at this point that Deion Sanders is just good at life. To be a Hall of Fame football player, to be a Major League Baseball player that played in a World Series, to be a high-level broadcaster or media personality, and now to go to college football and just immediately start off with success. And the Deion Sanders effect is insane because okay, here I'm just going to throw out some quick numbers to you here. Folsom Field, where Colorado plays their home games, 53,241. That's the largest attendance at Folsom Field in 15 years. College Game Day, you mentioned they're going to be playing Colorado State this weekend. For the first time since 1996, College Game Day will be going to Colorado. We'll be going to Boulder. In fact, Fox, you talk about the Nebraska game, Fox didn't even plan on showing the Nebraska game. Originally, they were planning on going and see Penn State versus Illinois, but because Deion Sanders is coaching this team, because they were coming off that hot TCU win, we have to go see what Coach Sanders and his team are doing. So the Deion Sanders effect is very tangible at this point because He's literally shifting the landscape of college football. And I guess I got to ask, how long does it take to go from a rebuild to a brand, which it seems like Colorado is certainly turning into a brand, to being the factory? Because I just don't see how Sanders is going to be stopped in recruiting. He goes into any home, and I mentioned this to you in the offseason. He goes into any home. I think he has an advantage over any milquetoast college head football coach that walks in the door, talks to mom and dad, and says, I can make your son go to the NFL.
When we first talked about Colorado back in, I want to say December, I had said that like 3-4 wins is a successful season for Colorado because, again, Colorado won back-to-back games against TCU and Nebraska. That's one, more games than they won all of last season. And two, the first time they won back-to-back games since 2019. 4 years since Colorado won back-to-back football games. So they were building this thing from the ground up. And obviously with Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders, there's a couple other top prospects in there. 83 of their 93 players on roster and on scholarship are new to the team this year. So the turnover was the reason people were expecting them to be bad, and the turnover is the reason people are projecting them to now be an 8-9 win team potentially in the Pac-12 this year. In terms of becoming the standard and potentially the factory, that will never, ever, ever happen at Colorado. And the reason that is the case is because this is not a destination. This is a stop along the journey for Deion Sanders. Colorado is not the final destination that Deion Sanders plans to be at. And if this is wildly successful and they put Travis Hunter in the NFL as the number 2 pick in next year's draft, and if Shedeur gets picked even in the 4th round of the NFL draft, that'll be a remarkable success for Colorado, putting a quarterback and a star corner into the NFL. That would be a remarkable success for Colorado and Jackson State. I'll also put Jackson State in that group because both of them played last year in their freshman years at Jackson State. So that would be a remarkable success. But this is building towards ultimately Deion Sanders probably taking another job if this thing works, which again, will this thing work? Time will tell. I don't know how this thing will work. But if this is successful enough that Colorado is building upon something, not just the popularity, not just the Deion Sanders selling Deion Sanders, but like tangible victories on the football field, which will take time to determine if they can win enough games for Deion Sanders to then jump to another job. Then if that ends up happening, I think then you'll start to see this potentially be a wave shifting. I don't want to say movement because movement makes it sound too big. It will be a different way to win in college football.
If I told you he gave them 3 years, is that enough time?
3 years was enough for him to get from Jackson State to Colorado. So I think 3 years is enough time for him to get from Colorado to another place potentially. Maybe that's Florida State, although they're big on Mike Norvell right now. They're obviously one of the top 3 programs in the country, his former alma mater. Maybe it's one of those Big Ten schools. Not 100% sure what that'll look like in 2 or 3 years, but 3 years, definitely. We've seen lots of coaches. Hell, even Matt Rule, when he was at Temple, we mentioned him earlier. Matt Rule took 3 years to build Temple into a program that he could then take the Baylor job, and then it took him 3 years to build the Baylor job into something where he could then jump to the Carolina Panthers. So yeah, 3 years, he could totally put this thing into a Big 12 contending team in the next 2 or 3 years, especially with Travis Hunter in his junior season.
Okay, well, you already disrespected Coach Sanders. Why do you have to disrespect Shedeur, a 4th round pick? Pat McAfee called him a top 3 pick just the other day. Come on,
Yeah, no,
Kyle,
no.
have you not seen the Heisman odds? Shedeur is shooting through the roof right now. He's going to be up there with next to Caleb Williams this season. Him, Travis Hunter, Caleb Williams. There's your top 3 right there.
No. Again, Colorado's the 18th ranked team in the country.
I mean, but why not? I mean, come on. Shedeur have you seen the stats this guy's putting up? 393, 2 touchdowns. He has 6 touchdowns on the year, no interceptions.
100%.
What's the case not to have him there?
Just a numbers game. I mean, only 4 people can be Heisman finalists.
And the numbers suggest he's a Heisman right now.
There's the words you're looking for. Right now, he is potentially a Heisman finalist. But here's the thing, though. You can probably only name 3, maybe 4 college football players at this point, and 2 of them play for Colorado. A lot of that is their production. I mean, Travis Hunter is a phenomenon. He already has more yards of offense than Jabril Peppers, who was the last player we saw play defense and offense in the same season. He already has more yards of offense than Jabril Peppers had in his entire Heisman season at Michigan. Travis Hunter, I think, is legitimately a Heisman finalist. That just means it's a numbers game on Shedeur's part. And while he has 900 passing yards and 6 touchdowns through 2 games against 2 Power 5 opponents, which is incredibly remarkable. No disrespect at all to Shedeur Sanders. Let's take all of this with a grain of salt, because I don't know how good this team is going to be. I don't know how skilled these players are. I just know that Shedeur was a 4-star quarterback prospect and Travis Hunter was a 5-star prospect coming out of high school. Their development, that's another question, and we're starting to see some of those results in real time. And I know people will point to like, oh, but Shedeur Sanders is the second highest NIL athlete in college football right now. Yeah, the highest NIL athletes are Arch Manning, Bronny James, and Shedeur Sanders. And what do you think those 3 people all have in common together? It is famous fathers with which you can earn greater endorsement value on because of the last name that you possess.
Well, what I would add here, and you said that what do they have right now? 2 wins against Power 5 opponents. They're the only team in the country that can at least boast that. They're the only team in college football right now that can say that they have 2 wins against Power 5 opponents. So that is something, whether you agree with how difficult the Power 5 opponents are. Again, TCU, maybe they have fallen off. That's for sure. I mean, Max Duggan, Quentin Johnson, all the guys that went to the NFL, but they were still in the national championship game a year ago nonetheless. When it comes to Matt Rule and Nebraska, I mean, they made history in terms of their win against Nebraska. I want to say it's like the largest win they've had against them in like at least a decade or so. So it was a monumental win for that franchise. Travis Hunter, though, just a quick thing on him. I mean, how impressive it is to see a guy that is playing offense and defense. We're big Shohei Ohtani fans here, and he's drawing all these comparisons to Shohei and his ability to impact the game on 2 sides of the ball, because in football, you don't see it. You just don't. Like, no one does this really at a high level. And with Colorado, I mean, again, they are a Power 5 school. They are about to enter Pac-12 play here coming up soon in the dying days of the Pac-12, but still, they are about to have that happen. It does bring up the interesting question of Travis Hunter. Can he do this in the NFL at the next level? Guess we'll see what scouts tell us. But if not, at least he'll be taking a seat plenty of times on the turnover throne. So we've seen a lot of turnover chains, but Colorado has a turnover throne. Don't know if you knew that.
Pretty cool. I saw that. It's pretty cool. And look, the Travis Hunter thing is so much fun. And I really, really hope that he does not get hurt, because as soon as he has an injury, not even a serious injury, like an injury that just makes him week to week, they're going to shut down the running both sides of the ball thing, because they got to protect that money. They got to protect him when he gets to the NFL in 2 years. But I really hope that he doesn't get hurt in the meantime, because it's so much fun to watch him play both offense and defensive side of the ball. And you mentioned that Pac-12 schedule. And while I have joked for years that the Pac-12 is the most mediocre of conferences because all the teams just beat each other up and then no one's allowed to be good, they haven't put a team in. They've put the same number of teams in the playoff as the AAC, essentially. I know Oregon made it that first year, but UCF should have been allowed to make the playoff in 2017. They've essentially put the same number of teams in the playoff as the AAC, but somehow the Pac-12 has a lot of really good teams this year. None that are really elite other than maybe USC, but a lot of really, really good teams this year. After Colorado whoops up on Colorado State this week, they're going to have 9 games remaining in the season. 6 of them are going to be against currently ranked opponents. 4 of those are going to be on the road. So it's not an easy slate for Colorado going forward at this point. However, if they win at Oregon, or if they win at home against USC, people are really going to start losing their shit. I know people are already kind of losing their shit, and Big Noon Kickoff is going on a traveling Colorado road show at this point. But if they can beat one of those 2 teams, a team we know is legitimately good this year, Oregon on their home field, that's a top 10 team in the country. USC has the reigning Heisman Trophy winner. That game's going to be at Folsom Field in 3 weeks. So I'm really excited for USC at Colorado. If they can win just one of those games, that's going to be one of those lose your shit type of moments, because they would have probably been 21-point underdogs going into those games at the start of the season. And if they can win one of those games, that's going to be the validation that I think a lot of people are looking for.
Well, hopefully for Vegas, like they do start like lessening these margins of victories, because they are losing their ass right now with the point spreads. So apparently, just some fun betting stats here. Colorado has garnered more bets to win the national championship over teams like Ohio State and Georgia, despite being 100-1 odds. And they actually had more bets on them than any of the NFL games this past weekend. Again, going back to the Deion Sanders effect, yeah, Deion Sanders is definitely moving the needle on college football. If they beat USC, and Shedeur looks good, though. Shedeur Sanders outduels Caleb Williams as the two battle for the Heisman. Mark it in pen. That's going to be a great headline. What do you think of Colorado's early season success? Will they be able to maintain it? Hopefully they don't have a weird upset to Colorado State and make this video age poorly. If not, go ahead and leave a like on this video. Subscribe to the channel. Follow us on all our social medias from Juju and Kyle. Stay safe, happy, and healthy. We'll see you next time.